precautions that we can do over.
Hey y'all, and what's up? And welcome back to another episode of the Do's and Don'ts Truckers Edition. Y'all already know who it is. It's the boy Jay.
And your girl, Ms. V.
What's up, y'all? Look, what can we talk about today? What shall we talk about today?
Don't be overweight.
Don't be overweight. Well, let's talk about it then. Fun fact for you. When it comes to booking a load and you ask the broker, what is the weight? What is the commodity? When they give you the commodity, then you know what it is that you're carrying, right? But the weight, you have to understand that it's the weight of the freight, not the weight of the freight and the trailer. Now, y'all know we've been on this whole safety trip. We're all about safety and making sure that when you get out there, you're being as safe as possible. So when it comes to not being overweight, I want you to remember that 3 things play a factor in that. That's going to be the weight of the tractor, the weight of the trailer, and then the weight of the freight. So let's get into the do's.
I'm gonna dive right on in.
I'm about to dive in. Let's dive in to the do's of not being overweight. So Jay, help me out here. When it comes to not being overweight now, what are some precautions that we can take as drivers? What are some things that we can do to alleviate being overweight?
One of the things we could do is go get a scale ticket before you get to the shipper.
Okay, so a scale ticket, because that's not always required by the broker,
right,
or the shipper or receiver. That's not always required. So where do we find a scale ticket? How do we do that?
Go to any truck stop. Majority of your truck stops have scales. So you can just go in there, tell them you want to get scaled out. That way, make sure you're full of fuel too, because that changes up the weight of your freight also. Okay. Whenever you get loaded.
Sweet. So I'm going empty, so there's nothing on my back.
Right.
So when I get weighed, it's just going to be my trailer and my tractor combined.
Right.
That's going to give me the gross weight at that time.
Right.
Okay, so then once I get loaded, then I return back to the scale, or how do I know if it's overweight or not?
Well, once you get done, you want to go back to the scale for 2 reasons. One, to make sure you're not over 80,000.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is to make sure that your weight is distributed evenly.
So wait a minute. You said something. 80,000.
Right.
So we don't want to go over 80,000 pounds.
Right.
Regardless of what kind of freight it is, unless we're doing heavy haul.
Exactly.
Of course. But we want to stay, when we're doing semis, that is, 80,000
or less.
Okay, cool beans. And so you said that the weight is properly distributed.
Right.
So that means my steer, my drive, and my trailer, all 3 combined, gives me the 80,000
right,
or less. All right, so let's put this ticket on the screen because I want them to see what an actual scale ticket will look like. So we're going to use this one for an example. Now this one says I'm at a gross weight of 78,400 pounds, which means I am in the allotted amount of weight of 80,000 gross.
Right.
So that's a good thing, right?
That's great.
But I see that each axle has its own weight. So my steer is saying that I'm at 11,600, where my drive is saying that I'm at 28,600, and then my trailer, lot to process, y'all, lot to process, is saying that I am at 38,140,000 pounds. So tell me, how exactly am I overweight? Because I know how to add now. I promise you, I can I can add and I can multiply. I just don't like to subtract, divide, and yeah.
All those.
All those. But when it comes to adding to me now, I got you on that. But seriously, how am I overweight? Can you explain that?
You're overweight on your tandems.
Gotcha.
So to get that weight off your tandems, you will have to adjust your trailer by moving your tandems forward or backwards, depending on which way you need to move it. In this case, you would have to go forward to get the weight on your steers and your drives.
Gotcha. So I need to adjust my steer and my drive. So I'm gonna move back or forward, rather.
Right.
Okay. Cool beans. Now, of course, this wouldn't be J&V if we did not bring you the good, the bad,
and the ugly.
So let's dive in. let's dive into these don'ts real fast. So what happens? God on the Lord on me, y'all. What happens if we don't, per se, if I'm new or if I just don't know? Because some people just don't know.
Right. And that's true.
How to properly, make sure that they're not overweight. Because again, if I looked at that scale ticket and I didn't know that my axles each have a
certain weight limit.
A certain weight limit.
Right.
So, thank you, baby. The steer axle, it don't need to go over what?
12,000 pounds.
And my drive axle don't need to go on
34,000.
And my trailer doesn't need to go over
34,000. I'm sorry.
34,000. So 45, 47. That's what made me think of. Okay, y'all. So 12,000, 34,000, and 34,000. So
that's how
12.
You get 80,000.
Right. That'll give me 80.
Right.
So 12,000 on my steer, 34,000 on my drive, and 34,000 on my trailer, or my tandems. Okay. So that is what we need to stay. So what happens if I just don't? Because everybody's not, a veteran. Y'all will say, I'm not new to this, I'm true to this, I'm a vet, I've been in the game. You know how y'all talk. You 11-year veteran. You know how y'all talk. But I as a dispatcher, I do have drivers.
We're not just steering wheel holders. We actually do this thing for real.
Okay. Nobody said they was just steering wheel holders.
Well, you got a lot about that on.
Wow. Okay. So, wait a minute. What is a steering wheel holder, good sir?
That's all they can do is hold a steering wheel. They don't know how to do nothing else.
Wow.
They don't know how to fix a truck. They don't know how to fix a problem. All they know how to do is hold a steering wheel and drive forward.
Well, that's what a professional CDL driver does, right?
There's more to it than that.
That's good to know. That's good to know. So maybe we'll do a topic on what is a true CDL holder to you. But listen, I do have some drivers that, have been in the game for a while, and their truck has
It has gauges to be able
to tell you, that they're a little heavy,
right.
But what are some other things that happens if you do not take the precautions to not be overweight? And when I say that, so if you do go back to the scale ticket, we need to ensure that we mention this part. If you do go back to the scale and your ticket does show that you're overweight and you've adjusted your tandems or you moved your fifth wheel and you still can't get the weight to disperse in the proper ways, then go back to that shipper
and have it reworked.
Yes.
It'll cost you time.
Yes, I was just going to say, yes, it may cost some time.
It'll save you a whole lot of money and headache.
Because if you don't, what could happen?
You'll burn extra fuel. You'll have blowouts because you have too much weight on the tires.
Especially if you got recap tires.
You could also, if the load shifts because it's off weight balance or anything, you can end up having an accident, flipping the truck.
Wow. And I've had that happen. I've had a driver that I was dispatching for, and the load was top heavy, and he goes over a bridge. He wasn't even turning the corner, because I've seen a lot of drivers when they've turned the corners that they flipped over. But he was going over an overpass or a ramp or however you want to say it. He was descending down the freeway, the overpass, and of course, when you start going down, you start speeding up, even though you're going down.
Gravity pull.
Come on, science. Even though you're going down, you start speeding up. I'm going down. Yeah. So, as he was going down, because it was overweight,
right.
It was top heavy. And most of the time when you're overweight, it's top heavy. It's loaded heavily at the top because they just stuff in. You know how we do.
Right.
We just stuff it until we can't get no
a lot
more
of these
in there.
shippers, they trying to get bang for their bucks. So
Absolutely.
They trying to get
They're
as
gonna put as much product in as they can.
And if you willing to take it.
Yeah. And so as he's coming over that overpass, he lost control. He thought he, was able to get it back under control, but he wasn't. And so he flipped over and slid. And thank God, of course, nothing was damaged but just the truck and the freight. And his life wasn't taken or anything. But those are the things that we want to make sure we avoid. So these are the reasons why we do these videos, to give about the knowledge that you may don't know, or you may didn't quite understand and you chose not to ask, because some people feel like that's a dumb question if I ask that. But in reality, hey y'all, drop your questions for us.
I was always taught no questions are dumb questions.
Never at all, because the one question you want to ask, somebody else really want to ask it, but they're afraid to do it. So we're all about safety and just making sure that you have the tools you need to be a successful professional CDL driver. Well, what do you think?
Until next time.
That about wraps it up for this episode, segment, edition, whatever. It all go together. Of the Do's and Don'ts Truckers Edition. Y'all already know who it is. It's the boy Jay.
And your girl, Ms. V.
Y'all tune in next time, y'all. Next week's topic is going to be fire.